So I'm going to say hello to everybody, wherever you are, whatever time zone, wherever place on the planet that you're accessing this video from, and welcome you to my very delightful time that I'll spend with one of my best friends, Shamir Ladhani from Calgary. Welcome, Shamir. Thank you for being with me.
Very much. Glad to be here.
I haven't seen Shamir in real life or virtually for quite some time. So it's really just a pleasure to reconnect with you, sweetie.
Likewise.
I'm so excited that I'm just going to get to see you in a few weeks.
Yes.
So, yeah, you'll be in Colorado to play with us there with Lee Carroll and Greg Braden and Dr. Todd Obakaitis and Shamir. Yay.
Yeah.
So before we talk about that, though, I really wanted to sort of debrief with you about our amazing time that we had with Kryon in Oberlin in Germany doing the Discovery series, and then also when you came to Italy to be a part of the Lemurian Sisterhood. I know that sounds a little weird, but absolutely. You were a very important part of that. So let's start with Discovery. Now, this is your second Discovery as a facilitator. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. Yes.
Yeah. And so it was different doing it with translation, right?
It was very different. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was as a fellow facilitator, it was really wonderful for me to see the growth, I guess, in your presentation to these people, because Discovery is not like any other seminars. It's an intensive, and it's always held in an amazing place, and we're all together as a group. It's a smaller group. It's always, we top it at 150 so that we can have a real personal experience with people. So would you talk a little bit about your personal experience there, but also what you were teaching and what you were giving people to take with them from that?
Discovery it's where I got my first start and exposure with you and Lee, and of course the late great Sid. And that was my first ever experience live. And it was in Jacksonville, Florida. And I remember when I went there and I said, this is my family. And you didn't know me from a hole in the ground. I had heard only about you and Lee. And it's amazing that, a few years later, I'm actually facilitating one of these because I so much loved the depth which we cover. You're right. Discovery is not your regular Kryon event. It's an intensive. It's connecting from the heart, and that's one thing that was an area for me to actually explore within myself, because I come from a background of engineering. This is who I am. I'm born and bred an engineer. I would call myself a recovering engineer. Because, we're all over here and not very much here, and it was almost like Discovery allowed me to play with the heart and move from the heart. And I found depth and connection and more power in terms of how people responded when you really speak from the heart. And so when you talk about HeartMath and you talk about the concepts associated with actualizing your heart and connecting with your mind, and you're speaking through a translator. So you say, I'm saying a sentence and then the translator is translating in German. And I was always afraid, just walking into this particular in Germany, that if I were to connect from the heart, that I would lose that connection because I would have to wait for the translator. But it was amazing, the energy and how they received it. And we were connecting. I had people coming back to me and actually saying to me, you have asked us to reach for an emotion that is joyous, that is, feeling of appreciation. And you've asked us to recall a past memory. And one person came to me and said, I can't recall a time I've ever had that feeling of joy. And that really touched me deeply. at
Mm.
that point in time. This was after my first workshop, my first session with them, and I had 2 more to go. And I was just feeding off of the people coming to me after. And I realized that there was a very strong yearning for people wanting to really connect. We hugged right there. He says, I haven't really hugged before. So I hugged him. And then, eventually by the end of the discovery session, I saw a transformation in this individual. He actually came to me and he said, this whole experience of discovery with yourself, with Lee, and the channelings, and with Monica, he says, it was almost like I had a heart opening, and it was almost like the genie went out of the bottle. So it's
Wow.
one of those things in discovery that you don't normally see at a Kryon event, because you're feeding off of the people. That was quite touching for me. And I was transformed myself. I have to say that I grew as much as anybody else in the participant area. It was beautiful.
Yes, I remember you said you had to take a day off after that and just be, because there was so much change for you. Yeah, well, good for
There
you for
was.
honoring yourself, and thank you for bringing all of that heart-opening joy and beautiful connection to those people. And I have to say that our translator,
Oh, she was
really,
amazing.
yeah, she's a channel in her own right. So
Yes, she is.
that was really beautiful. And then from there, we went to Italy.
Yes.
And for those of you watching this, we got to spend one night in Milan, where we went to see the amazing Last Supper and also
Yeah.
the Duomo. And then we went to Florence. And then we took the train to this beautiful health resort, sort of. It was a hot springs resort where the Lemurian Sisterhood weekend was. And Shamir was there all weekend, helping hold the space for the goddesses, the Italian goddesses, who are just so amazing and
Very
beautiful.
well.
And then it was it Saturday or Sunday that you spoke?
I believe I spoke on Sunday.
Yeah. And so talk a little bit about that, because you had yet a different language and translation
Yes.
and HeartMath.
I have to be honest. I was scared, and not scared of the people or of the presentation, but I had a bit of fear walking into that presentation, because you trusted me so much. And Amber, I can't ever thank you. My heart is full of gratitude for what you have done for me. But you totally trusted me to hold space for 70 women. And it's not every day that a man can walk into a Lemurian Sisterhood and do a presentation. So my fear was that I would not be able to honor the opportunity that you've given me. I would not be able to actually get whatever I needed to say out, and try and help individuals, just ignite them to the next level of balance within. And I feared that I would not live up to that standard that I so very much wanted to. And I want to thank you for allaying my fears, for trusting me. And so I needed to say that. Thank you.
Oh, you're
My
so,
experience. Thank you.
I
My
didn't have any idea that you felt like that. So thank you for sharing that with me.
Yeah. So when I walked into that meeting, in that there were 70 women there with the translator, of course. And one of the things you and I talked about leading up to that event was, what was one of the things that we needed to convey. And the idea there was, we were always talking about, you and I, Amber, we were always talking about balance, the human balance of masculine, feminine. And we've always talked about the fact that, just because I'm a man doesn't mean I'm a masculine energy. We all have the balance of masculine and feminine, and we use that in harmony with ourselves. And when we're balanced, we talked about the fact that, women in North America, for example, if they want to be a CEO of an organization, they have to unbalance their system such that they're more masculine. And a lot of times there's a common belief that the feminine energy is not power. There's no power in that. There's power in the masculine energy. And boy, are they wrong. Boy, are they wrong. When we talk about Gaia is feminine energy. What kind of power does the earth have?
Yeah.
And it was the last time when you heard about earthquakes and tsunamis, water, what kind of power does that have? So the power of that feminine is there, but it's in a different kind of flavor. So one of the things that you and I talked about this is that there was a prevalence of subservience in that society. The women were always there putting men ahead of them. And one of the things that I really wanted to share with them is to actually dive deep within and tap into the spirit within. And so I was truly surprised because my opening statement to the women was, how many of you believe that God speaks to you directly? I saw 2 hands out of the 70 that raised. And at that point in time, I knew I had to shift gears. I had to really take a different angle here, because a lot of the women there felt they were disconnected from God, that God did not speak to them directly. So it was a beautiful transformation at the end to actually have them suspend their belief. And I said to them, I said, please, just for this moment, please suspend your belief that God does not speak to you. Just change that belief around just for this moment. Just believe that God is within you. And I said, now, how many believe that God is within them? How many of you have tapped into that? Just for this moment, just believe that. And then I had most of the hands go up. It was then that real transformation took place. A woman just came to me at the end of that workshop, and you recall we ended the workshop with everybody standing up and them all shouting an affirmation, and they were just clapping, and there was like power I felt, that feminine power I felt, like we are now here. The toothpaste is out of the tube, you can't put it back in. So this one woman came back and she says, I was really afraid to feel love. She says, because when I was 7 years old, I lost my father, and I didn't have time to grieve because I was actually being the strong person for everybody else. And so it took her 40 years.
Wow.
That in that Lemurian Sisterhood event, whatever you were working on with them, leading up to that day, you shook the cobwebs loose. And I just came to polish that up, and she was just in tears. And she actually gave me a nice little scarf. She says, I want you to have this.
Aww.
It was just, I have it upstairs. And, there was a lot of joy, a lot of transformation that took place. And, I truly learned a lot about myself and about the beautiful goddesses that you touch so deeply, and the wonderful work that you're doing. So I'm honored to be a part of this. It was a wonderful experience.
It was just absolutely delightful and perfect and so deep, and I'm grateful for all the opportunities to work with you. And now let's talk about Colorado. You're coming to Colorado, and you're going to be doing a workshop on Saturday night, January 12th.
Yes.
Talk about that a little bit. What can we expect there? What kind of surprises?
Well, it's interesting because something that I have, I listen to people like yourself, like Lee and Greg Braden, wonderful people like Joe Dispenza and Bruce Lipton, and there are certain important kernels of their knowledge that I fuse together, including my training in HeartMath. I'm a HeartMath trainer and coach, so I bring it all together. And one thing that I thought would be very important is I've come across many an individual who say, I cannot make, we talk about the secret, we talk about the law of attraction, I can't make it work. And I know exactly why it's not working. I know, because I have gone down the path of trying to make it work for myself, hit the brick wall, and then finally realized what I needed to do in order to do that. And there are some myths that we need to debunk. And one of the things I want to talk about is how we can program our body to automatically become a beacon to attract the life we want. And that's really what I want to do. Is I want to share with people what I have learned about that. We talked about this in an earlier segment in Jacksonville when I first was exposed to Kryon live, and I saw you and Sid there, and I sat in there. I said, this is family. But the other thing I also said, and I don't know if I mentioned it to you or not, but I looked at this and said, I love what these guys are doing. I want to be up there with them. It was what I said. And it was my programming my body to continually just feel that love and that yearning and desire. And I ended up doing that last year in Alberta.
And I have to say that you never directly asked us to do
I
that.
did not. I didn't have to.
We recognized who you are as a person and what you have to give, and knew that you would be a great addition.
Thank you. But this is the point that I'm trying to make. I had no idea that I was actually putting in motion.
Yeah, you were creating your reality.
I had no idea that I was actually navigating the laws of the universe. And there are two main laws that we have to understand in order to make the law of attraction work. The one is to activate our desires. There are two laws. One is the law of attraction. The second one is the law of free will. That's a very important one. And one thing that we will discuss in this workshop is the fact that the law of free will, a lot of us feel that, you know what, I'm a good person. I bought coffee for the person next behind me. And therefore, the universe will give me lots of good stuff because I'm a good person. It doesn't work that way, because the law of free will says that you must ask for something. The universe will not shower you because you deserve something. The universe will shower you with whatever you want when you ask for something. And so we need to get beyond this. I'm such a wonderful person. I'm such a pious person that I'm waiting for the universe to deliver something, and the universe knows what I want. The universe will not do that, because you are in a free will society. You have to ask for it in order for you to receive.
Mhm.
Then the next level of that is, how do you ask for it? I was in a workshop, I did a workshop, another Kryon event in Edmonton. And I asked people, I said, I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to now think of a desire you want to create in your life. What do you want to manifest in your life? Close their eyes, gave them about 30 seconds. And then I said, okay, open your eyes. Tell me how you felt. One woman raised her hand. She says, I felt sad. I said, how come? She says, because I realized when I was saying this is what I wanted, I didn't have it. And so the second point that I'm trying to make on this is that, you got the free will, but also the language with which you use to manifest your desires. And so I want to talk all about that. There's a third aspect to that, which is really the crux of my workshop, is how do you program your body so you don't have to work hard at working, going through and going through the visualizing process. There's a process of programming your body to actually already shine that light so that it's always coming to you. And what does that look like? And how do you program your body to do that? And that's really what I want to talk about in the workshop.
I like that. That's juicy.
There's a lot of stuff packed into that short workshop, but I promise you that it's going to be worth people's while to be in that workshop.
I'm sure. And so to register for that 2-hour workshop, I have a feeling it's going to be a little more than 2 hours. You're able to do that through my website at amberwolfphd.com/upcoming events, or kryon.com/schedule. And we will be excited to see everybody next year. And we're also celebrating at that event 30 years of Kryon.
Yes.
Yeah. So, well, Shamir, thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to seeing you and giving you a big hug in person, and seeing you very, very soon.
Likewise.
Spending this
Thank
time.
you so much for talking to me.